Hey guys, I am going to talk today about some different tools and ways that you can help yourself to become more self-aware and to live a better life. And if one of them does not resonate with you, just hold on because there will be more because I have a long list. Okay, so one thing that you can do as far as letting things out is what I call a brain dump. I didn't make that up. Someone else told me about it, but that's what it's called. If you've not heard of it, it basically means you take a piece of paper and a pen and you just write whatever is in your heart. You don't monitor. You literally just let the words flow onto the page. Anything that's aggravating to you, annoying to you about yourself, situations, other people, goes on the paper. It could also be anything that feels extra good to you that you're happy about. It doesn't always have to be a negative thing. However, the reason behind doing this is to sort of purge yourself or vomit out in a healthy way the feelings that you have inside and to acknowledge them. When we write things down, then we basically acknowledge things on a deeper level. We see them more clearly. Okay, so a brain dump is a wonderful way to just let it out. Now, if you don't like to write, then you can brain dump into a microphone on your cell, but be very careful not to send it to anyone. Okay, but you can just literally, hit that button on your cell phone and write yourself a brain dump and then read it. And you might be surprised what actually comes out. And the more you purge yourself of different things from within that are possibly even hidden to you until you do the brain dump, the better and lighter you feel. Okay? The next thing, number 2, I like to self-reflect and say to myself, how in the past, throughout my whole life, okay, or if you remember past lives, in any past life, did I treat someone in a way that was not how I should have treated them, less than desirable. Okay, it could be downright horrible actually, but for people who are, probably more evolved, what are the little things that you might have done? Like maybe someone was really horrible, did horrible things to you, and you raised your voice, and you don't like to allow anger out, okay, towards other people. You're very much more aware of how damaging it can be, and so you usually just talk rationally when you've calmed down. But let's say you let someone have it, okay? So then you can look at those things. You can make a long list and make sure that you are aware so that you can correct that so it doesn't happen in the future. Okay, that's another thing I like to do, is truly to look through my entire life and go, how did I contribute to this problem in any way whatsoever? Okay, and sometimes it can literally be not an aggressive forward movement. It could be that you didn't speak up for yourself. Maybe you never spoke up for yourself in various relationships when you would have an issue and people would dismiss you and they'd say, oh, you're too sensitive, or wait, I don't want to talk about that. And you just let them win that and take over and dismiss you. And it's not a competition, but I use the word win in the sense that it's not really a win. It's a complete loss, because if your feelings are not being heard and acknowledged, then you have no relationship with that particular person. So maybe in the past you've allowed that to happen, but now you know that if there's any issues that come up and you bring it up to someone you're in relationship with, that you're going to have a different boundary and expectation. So you've changed, right? You will expect that the person will love and respect you enough to hear your concerns and have a normal adult conversation. Okay, so I love to go through and see what have I done and what can I do differently in the future. The other thing that you can do, and you can also pen this or voice record it, is I like to look at slices of life. I call that, I think it was in college that a professor mentioned that as an assignment, but I think it's really a wonderful assignment. Slices of life, parts of your life that stand out as almost either magical or hilarious or very serious or very dramatic, something that's almost like looks like a movie in your mind. Okay, so you would basically tell the story, okay, and kind of relive it and feel your feelings through that experience. Like if it's standing out to you, there might be some hidden gem that you need to understand better, you see? So it's really valuable, it's really valid. Now, number 4, the next thing is that I like to, and I have for years now, write every single dream down that I remember every single morning. And oh my, so the dream journaling has many benefits. One, and the number one, is that you're accessing your subconscious. You're also accessing different dimensional information, whether you know it or not. And there's so much to weed through. So when I look back on my dream journals and I reread them, some of them literally are like telling me exactly what's going to happen in 6 months, like verbatim, like word for word what a person said to me, they said it 6 months later, or what they did it 6 months later, or a year later, or even 2 years later, or some event that's going to happen in the future. That often happens with a lot of people, actually. And also, if you don't have those types, you will, at the very least, understand symbology wise what is in your heart, and you might not even realize. Like, for instance, you could have a dream that you have a crush on someone that is just a friend that you had no idea you had feelings for, and then boom, what, or you could dream of, for instance, when I was pregnant, I dreamt that my grandmother who had died, left her body, she came to me and told me I needed to eat Jarlsberg cheese because it had the highest calcium content. And when I had my blood work done when I was pregnant a long time ago, it said that I was deficient in calcium. So she knew and she told me what to do. So dreams are very, very useful. In fact, if I had to choose only one of these things, it would be dream journaling. So there's no significance of the importance of the order. I'm just saying that the dream journal for me, though it's number 4 on my list here, it would be number 1 if I had to choose. I think the brain dumps are really helpful too, because you let out feelings and then you don't hold grudges towards people if they have done you wrong in any way. You recognize it and then you talk to them, like I said before, a mature adult. And this helped me to get out of situations that were incredibly toxic in the past, which I wasn't aware of until I started to look at the dream journal as well as the brain dumps and go, what am I doing with this person? This is so not healthy. So if you're in a situation where you're feeling unheard, start doing your brain dump exercise and see what comes out. Schedule a meeting with the person who is hurting you. And if they're not willing, then if I were you, I would definitely, let them know that if this is not something they can do, then you need to move on, because I'm telling you, your life will change when you use these tools. I cannot begin to tell you how much better life has gotten since I've used these tools more, because this is a self-loving act. When you utilize these tools, then you will find that everything in the outside changes, because once you respect yourself, people who don't respect you will just disappear from your life, and they'll find someone else to disrespect and then you'll be free from that. And it's just an incredible feeling to use these tools. They're just some of the most wonderful tools, other than chanting the hue, which I do daily, that I use. I use the hue to up-level my vibration. It is the highest word you can chant, and it means love, all that is, God, source energy, and it really changes lives. It really does. And the dream journaling, the brain dumps, the slices of life are fun. and a wonderful tool as well. Or just, you know, like I said, using your microphone if you're not the kind that likes to write. You can just microphone it and then read it. Like if you read what has come out, you'll be like, what? It's kind of sometimes surprising. So these are some ways that everyone can benefit in life. Like, that's pretty personal, but it's true. It really changes like your perspective, and you just don't accept less than once you actually read it. Once you see what is going on like more clearly. Of course, you can have therapy too. Therapists are wonderful if you get a good one. I highly recommend it. There's nothing to be ashamed about. In fact, it's the people who go to therapy that should be proud. It's the ones who avoid it their whole lives that clearly, you know, are not looking at themselves. And that's not something to be proud of. So it's kind of funny how people get shamed for going to therapy when the ones who don't go to therapy are the ones who need it more, you know? If you're watching these types of videos, then you're most likely a person who wants to be better and who, you know, looks inside themselves. Write in your journal, put your dreams down, do a brain dump, analyze your patterns, go to therapy, and love yourself, and chant the hue. I love you guys. Have a great day.